Hey everybody, Jacob with Scooters Lawn Care here in Cape Coral, Florida, and today we are talking about pavers, and specifically pavers because we are starting to do pavers in-house. This is a very exciting thing for us. We have a lot of time where we've installed pavers, retaining walls, large projects in Illinois where we can base all of that knowledge and bring some of that to Southwest Florida. And it's very exciting for the team because so far we've subbed almost all of our paver work out, and being able to bring this in-house is really big. So with this, some of the things that I want to talk about and focus on are kind of installation process and a little bit of price thoughts or things to think about when you're thinking about a paver project. And so when it comes to installation process, one of the most important parts is your preparation, right? People think about the paver, they think about the finish, they think about that first, and that is ultimately what ends up being the most important. But for that to be its best, it must be installed well. And for it to be installed well, it's really what happens under it that really matters. So if you have someone that just scrapes off the grass, levels the sand, and throws down pavers, you're not going to have the same level of project versus someone that takes the sod off, excavates 5, 6, 8, it really depends on what you're putting in. If you're, depending on the use, depending on what's going to sit on it, you're not going to have the same type of project as the person that does that, removes all of that soil or sand, and then backfills with a compacted base. And base installation is really the livelihood of your paver patio, because it is what determines, is it wavy? Do you have settling? Do you have issues in the future? I like to see anywhere from 3 to, it really depends on what we're building, right? We've done anywhere from 3 inches of base. That's before there's still more in the base installation than just the base. We've seen anywhere from 3 to 12 inches of base based off of what we're building. Now, the soils here, sand is already going to be somewhat compact. You just have to worry about it moving with water flow. But you don't get the freeze thaw you get up north, so we don't have to fight that. So maybe there's a little less base overall, but base installation is going to be your most important part of your job. If you see someone come in not using any kind of compaction on your base, not using any kind of base material, you're going to most likely have some issues with settling, some issues with sand washing out from the very low level right underneath the paver, and it ultimately can lead to issues. So that's going to be your number one. That's going to be your most important part. From there, we do a screed bed when we install pavers. So we're setting out rods, screed rods, which I know this is jargon of the industry, but it's just a tool to make sure that that final material, which is either going to be a sand or a chipstone, that paver sits into, is perfectly level. And we keep this to where just it's a very little bit, and it makes sure you get a really nice finish. It's what allows us to pitch in a certain direction, and it's what allows us to not have this happen while pavers are getting laid. So it's something that allows us to create a very straight and streamlined, smooth approach, whether it's up, down, whatever direction we've got to go. Because the patio should have drop for water to wash off of it, and it just shouldn't be too excessive, because at a certain point, if you start getting 3 inches every 10 feet, you're going to feel that when you walk. We want to keep it just the right amount of drop on a patio to not feel it, but yet shed water really well. So that's very important. So grade and level, very important. On a sidewalk, not as much, because they can slant down quite a bit. But so first, all that prep, all that base work, all that setting bed work, super important. That's what builds the whole foundation. Now secondly, pavers, people think about this and they think about that as an expense of the job. Really, your pavers are going to be just a sliver of the project, because all the work is going to be excavating, taking out material, putting in new material, prepping so you have a long-term patio. And really what you can do is you can pay for paver work up front with all that installation and all that base installation, or you can pay a lot less up front and then you're going to have to redo it more often. So all that preparation allows for it to last, and less preparation just means, depending on how it's done, probably not going to last as long. Now finally, we talk about the actual price of the project itself. So this is back to a little bit of that conversation of installation of the base and the pavers. People always go to, oh man, is that paver more than that paver? that is a sliver of the project. Everything in a project, if you're paying for this project, if this project's $20 a square foot, $30 a square foot, $40 a square foot, rough approximately installed, a sliver of that, a fraction, $3, maybe $4 is the paver itself. The rest is all of that work that goes in. And that's where money is saved on a lot of these quotes that you'll see of if the amount of square footage price goes way, way down. And there's other variables to square footage price, right? It's not just, hey, we punch out this number and we don't take any of the site access. How far away from the road is it? How many trips? Can we get material here? What is it? There's so many different variables, right? But if we just talk about square footage, and if you're getting multiple quotes, I would always be trying to verify how much base, if this is a lot less than this project, how much base is getting installed on both, because that's what's going to make it last. And so often from our experience in Illinois, we'll see projects where we've done patios and retaining walls and seat walls and done these beautiful outdoor living spots, and we'll inevitably end up doing something that's maybe double of one of the other quotes and doing it for the homeowner just because they really trusted that we're an authorized contractor for Unilock in Illinois, and they trusted what was going to happen, and they wanted to buy that longevity and they wanted to buy that warranty that came with the work. So we are now doing paver patios. I've kind of covered some of the important parts, right? The paver is important, but the base installation is the most important. And then as a split of pricing, that's where you're going to see the cost go to. The cost, and the biggest variable is how well and how much base is installed versus how little and how poorly base is installed, not so much the paver you get on top. So I hope that helps you look at estimates you get and know a little bit about pavers so you can make the best decision. These pavers look the best. They are awesome. They have such a cool aesthetic. There's so many colors, there's so many varieties, there's so many patterns, and on top of that, the PSI of a paver is so much harder than even concrete, so it's very, very durable. And to even add more, if you have an issue in a paver patio area, it can be repaired, it can be added onto, it can be changed. Where concrete, once it cracks, there's not a whole lot you can do other than completely ripping out or reinstalling new. So use this to make decisions. We would love to give you a quote for pavers if you'd like to see a project and what that looks like at your home.